Hi, this is Stan. Welcome back to the Crow's Nest Railroad. Well, today, part 3 of our mini-series on casting some large train wheels. Well, on part 1, as you remember, we made those wooden wheels, and then part 2, we created the molds out of that permabond sand. The third step in the process was actually pouring that hot cast iron molten metal into the molds that we made. It was really a vivid process, and I got some great video of it. So I got together with Bob and Scotty out of the 15-inch gauge, and we took a look at those pictures, and we're going to explain what's going on. Okay, we're here with Bob and Scotty. So this was at the, basically like just the walkway at Scottsdale Community College, and they were just shoveling all this sand and covering up this common area just on the sidewalk. So why do they do it that way? Is it just because of all the heat involved? They don't want to really do it indoors or anything like that?
Concrete still has moisture in it for a long time. You spill that extremely hot metal, 1,500 degrees, on that concrete, it'll pop.
Oh.
And besides destroying the concrete, you got pieces of concrete flying around.
Okay. And they started really early in the day. When did we get there? Around noon or so, or?
We got there after you guys did. So.
About 12 o'clock we started with the initial preparation.
Now here you can see our two wheels. There's one, and there's the other. But there was a lot of molds being poured. There was a class, and there's fancy artwork, and I don't know what these were.
Fancy artwork.
Yeah, and they set those in the sand. And there's Bob. So Gary and Bob are there. You guys had to sign a waiver to get inside that area, right?
Well, we did, because obviously the school is very concerned about 1,500 degree molten cast iron being splashed all over you. You might have a lawsuit involved with that. So the litigation is eliminated when you say, I'm an idiot, if I go in there and hurt myself, it's my fault, although I don't know that really protects you in the court of law. But at any rate, that's what you signed to get you inside the actual working area.
Oh, okay. And look at the clothing this guy has. This is, what is that, like all leather, protective?
All leather, because
Clothes, yeah.
he doesn't want to get cooked with that, and cottons and flammables are just that, flammable. And with 1,500 degrees, it's like putting a blowtorch on your skin and your clothes. It's not an environment that you want to be around in very long. So the leather, just as in a welder, protects you from the sparks, and in this case from the molten metal. Which
we're going to see in just a bit how fantastic it is to see that metal pouring. And okay, these were little pits that they were pouring some of that into these little buckets, and then they were putting which looks like insulation over the top. So I'm trying to remember why they were doing that.
That was to allow them to continue pouring continuous by putting it in the buckets that they were hand-holding. There's one at each end of the pole. They were able to keep the bucket reasonably hot while they were waiting for the next pour ahead of them going on. So that allowed them to be able to pour it as continuously as possible. If you run out of cast iron in the middle of a pour, and you don't have another piece of cast iron coming right behind it, and I mean right behind it, you could get a separation, a parting, a cold joint.
You get a seam in the middle of it.
You get a seam.
Gotcha.
So you don't want to interrupt the pour, and you'd rather over pour. In fact, some of them poured 3/4 of a bucket and went back in to get it refilled, rather than start a pour of a mold and be short and have to go back and get it. In that 1 minute of time, you're messed up.
Okay, here's a shot of, I guess you call it a cupola. I don't know why you call it that, but it's basically a big furnace, and it starts out with propane or some sort of a gas.
Yeah, they used propane. Remember, they stuck the weed burners in the side, well, there's a propane tank, into the air duct to start the wood on the fire. And then the wood would, of course, start the charcoal.
Okay,
yes,
and then the coke.
Fire, yeah.
And then you want the...
Yeah. Then when you pull that out, you see the blower underneath it forced air in. Of course, that excites the flame, gets hotter for you.
Okay. And these big long tubes then shooting in on the side.
That's the air coming in.
Okay.
The forced air.
More
Forced
combustion
air.
air.
Okay, okay. And it just took all day to heat
Forever.
that thing up, yeah.
Well, it took a while to get the wood to burn, and then the wood got to get the coke started. And the coke takes a while because it's already pre-burned originally in a sense. And now you're trying to reheat it to the maximum, and that's where the forced air comes in, because moving that air across the ignited surface enhances and accelerates the heat level of that so that you get enough to melt cast iron.
I don't know what he's doing here. He's pouring some sand or something in there? Or opening something up, stoking it?
He's cleaning the slag off the top of the.
Using the sand for an abrasive?
Yeah, I think he's stripping the slag off the top of the pot.
Okay, and that's where it's going to shoot out to fill the
Yes.
buckets?
Yes. Because as it melts, all the impurities, of course, go to the top, and once he has made a mess of that, he strikes those impurities off before they go into the actual pour itself.
Okay, so the flames are really shooting out, but that's because it's under air pressure, right?
Oh, yes, that's correct. And that really exacerbates the burning of that coke in its function, and really it gets it hot enough to melt cast iron.
See that right there?
The cap,
And there?
Yep.
That's what he was doing. He was cleaning that port, then he put a plug in there. That plug he's
Okay.
going to knock out later to get the molten metal to come out. So he was just preparing that surface for the plug.
Gotcha. Ooh, okay, starting to get dusk out. And now you can see,
Yeah, see, he's knocked that plug out. It was right below this
okay,
for the molten metal to come out.
so he's filling that pot, and that's the pot down there that has the big long
Arms on it.
handles on
That's
it.
correct.
But it swivels on one end, so one person can stabilize it and the other who can rotate it.
That's correct. And the man who has the rotational responsibility is usually the more experienced casting individual, and knows just about where and when to stop pouring, because obviously you don't want to waste your cast iron as it fills the top of the mold, but then you don't want to be undershooting either. Now these molds have no risers or gates or sprues, so in that sense you're pouring directly into the center of the mold, and it just fills right up till it overflows.
I mean, if that's not a live volcano, I don't know what is.
You don't want to be near it. It's hot.
What he was pouring it into is called a ladle.
There goes one of our wheels right now. Oh, look at that. That is like liquid
It's
plasma.
the real deal, buddy.
That is awesome.
And keep in mind, during the steam engine era, they were using cast steel and red hot, forged in steam hammers to produce the rods and various components of the locomotive.
They're filling the next one already.
So they're moving. Ooh, a lot of overspillage on that one. But I guess that's okay.
Well, I presume you collect up what you can of the cast iron spilled around it. If it's even pure enough to be reused, it may not be, and they may just discard it. We don't know.
And there's a good close-up of one of our wheels.
Cooking away.
Just,
Oh, that's right. This is open top. wasn't it?
yes.
See?
So we didn't have that little chimney
No, we
thing
didn't.
on the top.
It's called a sprue.
A sprue. And the box that the sand is in, what did you call it?
The top part is the cope, the bottom part is the drag, and together they make a mold.
Okay, now here's a shot of our second one. I don't think I got film of it pouring in there, but you can see after the pour.
See all the slag on top? That shouldn't be there. Dross.
Yeah.
They're just filling another ladle.
Just filling, but look at the flame shooting out of the top there. That's where he's adding the metal up on top,
Yes.
the raw metal
By hand.
by hand, and then the slag dripping on the right, and then the metal that you want on the left there. It was entertaining. And people were lined up in lawn chairs to watch this. I mean, it was an event.
Yeah, it was.
It was just
Well,
fantastic.
it's
I
not-
highly recommend it if you're a local college or junior college.
It's not something you see very often. In America, much of our manufacturing has evolved and changed, and the big steel mills and the rolling mills have diminished in number and have gone overseas. So in this case, you don't see that on a regular basis, and it makes quite a striking image for you.
All right. And then how many days did we have to wait on this? 2 days?
Well, I think they just said till the next morning, but we ended up waiting longer than that.
It was so hot that you can't even get near it on that first day. So, but this is what it looked like when we took it out of the mold. So we got some of the lettering. By the way, I should mention that we did this as an experiment. We weren't necessarily expecting 100% success this first time through. But we learned, at least I learned a lot about the process of,
Well, yeah, we need 8 wheels per. That's why we only did 2 for a test.
yeah.
Were you with us, Bob, when we took them out of the mold?
I was not.
I think it was me and Gary and Stan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we took the opportunity to make as much fun of you as possible.
And
since
I
you weren't
appreciate
there.
that because I'm a pretty funny looking guy.
And here, Bob has it on his lathe, and we were doing some sample cutting there.
Discovering the impact and hardness of that scale vis-a-vis my
By the,
carbide tool.
by the failure rate, you were calculating the cost of replacement of all your carbides. Huh?
And I am telling you,
This
that stuff.
raised on or
is
indexable?
nasty. Those are indexables.
That's good, sort of. They're not cheap
Well,
either,
they're
though.
not cheap either, but
Now, if that thing were to come loose, I mean, that was a
that was
pretty big
it
hunk
would
of
have-
metal
It
on
would
there.
have damaged the lathe. I would have had a serious problem with the ways underneath it.
Now, here you can see some of the challenge when it starts out being not exactly.
That's a skip cut he's doing. And you can hear it bam, bam, bam,
Yep,
bam.
yep.
Bam, Britt. And I'm taking shallow cuts. We're talking 20 thousandths of an inch cut here.
Wow. Well, guys, thank you so much, man.
All right.
Wow, this has been an exciting mini-series for me, and I hope for you as well. On behalf of Gary and Scotty and Bob, I want to thank you so much for watching us. We learned a lot, and now we're going to move forward with the next steps and see if we can do even better on the next time through. And we'll take you along with this just like before. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you right here next time on Crow's Nest Railroad.